Prohibition and Gangsterism. So, Prohibition was introduced in the Prohibition Amendment in 1919, and it was further developed by the Volstead Act in 1920. It stopped the manufacture, sale, and transport of alcohol in the United States, of intoxicating liquor, which was about 0.5% alcohol. So, there are many reasons as to why they introduced Prohibition. So, female reformers thought that alcohol had a link to women abuse and child abuse, and religious people thought that alcohol was the root of sin and evil, and patriots believed that buying alcohol was betraying the country, because the alcohol that they bought most commonly came from the countries that the USA had been at war with, like Germany. So there were quite a few problems with this. There was the fact that people still want to drink alcohol, and the fact that alcohol was now unregulated. This meant that while death rates did decrease from alcohol consumption, it increased from alcohol poisoning, because people were making their own alcohol with like moonshine. So this caused like alcohol poisoning. So there were many reasons as to why Prohibition failed. So there were three main reasons. It was that there was corruption. People still want to drink alcohol, and it was just simply not suitable enough for prohibition officers and the state of the USA to enforce it. So this is because, firstly, in New York alone there was 30,000 speakeasies, and the US had about 30,000 kilometers of coastline. So this was simply too hard for prohibition agents to enforce, because they had so long of a border to patrol to stop people from smuggling inside of the country. And alcohol was so widespread that people could find it anywhere. And prohibition agents often did not get help from the usual state police. So this meant that prohibition agents were further disadvantaged to enforce prohibition. And prohibition led to a rise in organized crime, and many people did not get in trouble for prohibition because people often just bribed the prohibition agents to keep their mouths shut, and even the prohibition officers were honest and reported the people who had smuggled and broken the laws of prohibition. Judges and mayors would often be bribed by gangs to keep their mouths shut about the prohibition and the gang activities. So there was one of the most important parts of organized crime during this time for prohibition was Al Capone. So one of the many most important cases was the St. Valentine's Day massacre, which occurred on Valentine's Day, 14th of February on 1929. So 7 people were shot that were part of Bugs Moran's gang by Al Capone's gang. Al Capone didn't get in trouble by himself, because he used scapegoats for his own cause, so he blamed it upon other people. But people already knew that Al Capone was the killer. So this just showed that a lot of gangs wanted to control the area that they had been operating in, so that people will buy the alcohol so that they will get even more money. The fact that alcohol was banned gave organized criminals a way to get more money, because they could just raise the prices, because people couldn't get alcohol normally, and there were a lot of dangerous ways to get alcohol, such as like the moonshine.